Kalimera. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to those of you who are joining us online. It's an absolute pleasure for me to be addressing you again today. Thank you, Janice, for the very warm welcome and introduction. Excellency, Deputy Minister, distinguished guests, panelists. It's really a pleasure to be here in Athens and to have the opportunity to have this networking and exchange and listening to a variety of perspectives. I'm very much encouraged and inspired by some of the discussions that we've had. And I think we all can agree that agribusiness is vital for food security, for creating jobs and sustaining growth in many low and middle income countries. Agripreneurship is a global industry with enormous growth potential. As we heard yesterday, rapid urbanization in developing countries is shifting the demand for agricultural goods. Also, the digitization of value chains is generating more transparent information, and it's shedding light on ways to improve the movement of goods and establish pricing. Today, this morning, I'd like to talk to you again about women's entrepreneurship in agribusiness. Rural women, particularly women farmers, are the backbone of agricultural production and food security. I want to use this opportunity to reiterate some of the insights from yesterday's panel. Those of you who listened in, if you haven't, please do listen in when you receive the recording. We heard from experts, especially those agribusiness entrepreneurs who are bringing holistic approaches and calling for a shift in the paradigm of our engagement for us to build a mutually reinforcing ecosystem to support them. I hope you were lucky enough to have attended the panel, because women entrepreneurs in the agribusiness sector are really essential stakeholders in the world's agribusiness value chain. Despite their significant contribution to the agricultural sector, we know that at least 40% of the labor force in the agricultural sector are women. But women entrepreneurs in agribusiness are facing unique challenges. There is discrimination that stems from cultural norms, but also those discriminations are embedded in legal frameworks, and they hold them back. They limit their access to and control over resources. This directly affects their productivity and so weakens the rural economies and global food chains. Compared with men, women face more restricted access to financial services, land rights, education, training, extension services, and markets. Furthermore, they bear the burden of unpaid care and domestic work. These challenges must be addressed in all sustainable development strategies. They must be addressed in all the work that we're doing together. We have to do this because empowered women entrepreneurs in agribusiness can generate business benefits throughout the entire value chain. Gender-responsive solutions are smart solutions. We must close the gaps between men and women in agribusiness. And this means, according to the experts yesterday in the panel, improving women's access to the business environment, which includes, as we heard from Alia from Georgia, legal frameworks. As we heard from Fatma from the Frankfurt Business School, it means that we have to meet women's financing needs in an accessible, affordable, flexible, and sustainable way, and nurturing their relevant business knowledge and skills. As we heard from Marina from North Macedonia, it means that we have to invest in support services and bolster their market knowledge and connections and their access to industry innovations, and also investing in care services. As we heard from the women entrepreneurs themselves, Nardane and Tulin, it means that we need to properly understand the problems by listening to the women entrepreneurs, believing in them, and partnering with them. The COVID-19 pandemic has made the existing gender inequalities and gaps even worse, and we are at risk of losing important gains that we have made over the last few years. The data shows us that there has been a disproportionate impact on women, particularly women-led small and medium-sized enterprises. The pandemic can set back a whole generation of women in business and widen the gap in investments, productivity, and incomes. Women account for more than half of the job losses. 84% of women-led companies have seen a decrease in sales. Women-led SMEs are more likely to close than their male counterparts. And women entrepreneurs are still bearing the burden of childcare, homeschooling, and domestic responsibilities that increased during lockdown measures. So if we look at the pandemic, what it has done, it's not that there's new gaps, but the existing gaps are widening. And the pandemic has made it clear for us where those gaps exist. We see that many governments, including across the Europe and Central Asia region, are putting in place support programs to increase women's engagement in the private sector. We've seen COVID-19 socioeconomic response plans, but they're still falling short of addressing these gaps and really making change happen. Even before the pandemic, targeted support to women entrepreneurs was necessary, both for startups and for established businesses. As we're navigating the pandemic, and we continue to do so, we need policy interventions that address the specific needs of women in agribusiness. Only through these targeted initiatives can women hope to accelerate the recovery process, not only for themselves, for their families, communities, and countries. We need innovative collaboration between public and private institutions to meet some of the challenges. Let's be inspired by what we have heard yesterday and what we will hear today. Let's turn the challenges presented to us by the COVID-19 pandemic into an opportunity. As UN Women, we truly believe in the value of multi-stakeholder partnerships. We're committed to convenings like this one to bring partners together, to dialogue, to network, to find those innovative solutions. This year, so much is happening, and there are incredible opportunities to engage. We have the AgriBusiness Forum. We also have now an annual event that we piloted in the spring as UN Women, the Women's Entrepreneurship Expo, where we brought women entrepreneurs from across the region and brought them together with private sector companies, business leaders, mentors, experts, governments, international organizations. We had over 500 women entrepreneurs engage with us, and we offered them a platform to gain these insights on knowledge and also make those connections to markets and investment opportunities. In addition, this year we had the Generation Equality Forum, which was co-hosted by UN Women together with the governments of Mexico and France. We had an event in Mexico in March, at the end of March, and we had an event in Paris at the end of June and beginning of July. And what was launched as part of this forum are these 6 action coalitions for accelerating progress to close all the existing gender gaps. We have on board many governments, civil society organizations, businesses, international organizations that have come together with this commitment to make change happen more quickly so we can meet the targets of the 2030 Agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals. I encourage you all to find out more about the Generation Equality Initiative. You can come on board as commitment makers so you can make that change happen. Finally, I'd like to talk about a little bit the Women's Entrepreneurship Accelerator, which is an initiative that Miral started to speak about yesterday, which brings together private sector with a range of UN partners to really provide direct support to women entrepreneurs. It was established in 2019, but I can consider that this year was the real launch of this initiative. And there's a very ambitious target. It's supported by Mary Kay, but other business partners are also invited to join in this and support. I think the target is about 5 million women entrepreneurs. So I think you all can be part of these game-changing initiatives. Please do reach out. If this is a networking space, do reach out. Miral is here. And you can find out more also about what she started to talk about, which are the women's empowerment principles, a partnership framework, particularly for private sector, to make the changes happen, both internally and also through their partnership and their external work. I look forward to listening to more of the panelists today, and I want to thank again Janice and the whole organizing committee for bringing us together. Look forward to continuing our conversation. Thank you very much. Thank you.